Sometimes you feel alone. Sometimes you can't say. I know times that you're scared. You want me to stay. So let me hold you right. I'll make you feel special. So let me hold you tight, so you can follow me.
Hello, seekers. Welcome to While We Exist. I know it's been long, but we are back with yet another interesting episode. Today, I have a very inspiring person with me, Mr. Vyom Joshi. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm great, sir. It's good to see your face again after such a long time and for a great initiative as well. So, congratulations on this new series. And I hope we have a great show on our hands with this podcast today.
Sure, we have. Sure, we have. So, Vyom is a very close friend of mine. We are college buddies. Uh, we did our college together. We got jobs in the end. I accepted it. Vyom rejected it to pursue a career in music full time. He has done more than 500 shows, and these shows include both his solo performances and performances with his band, The White Vinyl. Yes, Vyom has a band too. Do check out their work. All the links are in the description. Go there and hit them. But wow, what a journey. So, Vyom, how has this journey been?
Uh, Pretty interesting, adventurous to say the least, full of ups and downs. But the best part, I'd say, while describing it to you, would be that you've been a part of it. You've been a pretty important part of it. You've been my go to person whenever I've been in Bombay for my shows, and otherwise, my moral support whenever I've felt low in that city. So, it's been great. It's been fun, and I'm actually pretty satisfied with it up till now. So, yeah, I'm in a good place.
That's good to hear, and glad to help you whenever I could. And you've helped me also with your inspiring decisions. And this brings me to my first question. You had a job in hand.
Sure thing.
You had a job in hand. You had a choice to make, music or job. You chose music, that too as full time. Now, this is a tough choice to make. You could have real cash flowing in if you could have taken the job.
Definitely.
I want to know, what was that turning point? How did you decide that, okay, I'll go for music all in? What was the turning point?
Okay, so when I got into bits, I was very happy that I got uh, physics as my main subject, and then I had a dual degree in electronics and instrumentation. So I was my initial goal was to become a scientist, and soon I realized that things would not work out in that direction. By the end of third year, I think, when the two courses, like the coursework basically piled up. So I became clear in my head that this is not something which I want to pursue, and music was something that I had been working on since my first year in college itself. Got into the music club in second year. तो उसके बाद से the improvements which I saw in myself, like I used to go to the music room, record myself, basically just do things which made me happy. And it was pretty satisfying and encouraging to see the changes and to see the results when I was working on those things. So I was nowhere close to the levels I aspired to be at as a musician at that point of time, but the small growth, the small steps which I was taking, they were they were satisfying, and that kind of made me realize that okay, even if I cannot become the best musician alive, it's something I can do. And I started researching as to how I can earn as a musician. So I realized that uh, there were ways of earning, there were ways of sustaining myself, and my priorities changed. I think uh, I I started enjoying doing music more. I realized that I could make music as well. I didn't make anything in college, but I knew I could do it. So there was,
Mhm.
I started taking steps to, like, go in that direction and improve myself as a musician. As Then in my fifth year of college, I went to Pune for an internship and I started doing gigs over there.
Okay.
By the end of my internship, when I had the job offer at hand, the best part was I was doing enough number of gigs to sustain myself. So it was
Mhm.
easy to convince my parents for this because they could see that I was pretty driven towards doing this and, like, taking the necessary steps to basically sustain myself, or like they realized that I had a plan in mind. Although although when you're doing something like music, you can't really plan things
Mm.
as such, but you can prepare yourself for a certain few things, and you can work on yourself, and then you can take certain calls as to whether what is working for you and what is not. So it's a pretty unpredictable field. If you see, if you're working as a freelancer, in the last 1.5 years I've barely done any work
Yes.
in terms of like earning for myself and stuff. So it's very unpredictable when it comes to that. But otherwise, if you are doing something and you're working on yourself and you're good, then you'll get work. It's just that you have to communicate with people. If you're at a firm, you'll get work through someone, maybe your
Yeah.
superiors or someone who's managing you will assign you some work. Over here you have to assign work to yourself. If you can do that, and if you can basically you know uh, set certain deadlines for yourself, manage your own work, anyone can do something like this. So it's about being your own boss. It's about giving yourself the freedom to do what you want when you want. But you have to be thoda sa strict as to uh, because since you don't have anyone else telling you
Hmm.
that, like, to set deadlines for you, if you can do that, uh, I certainly realized that I was able to do that. And while I was doing my internship, I realized I was not at all into data science or data analysis as such. So at the end of it all, I'll not say it was a very tough decision. And yeah, it's been working out decently up till now.
Wow. That's an inspirational story. Also, I think why this path is tough because you don't have any, there's no structure or there's no road that you have to take. You
Exactly.
have to decide for yourself. Like you said, setting your own deadlines. It's basically you on your own. I think when someone works for a company, it's slightly easier because you have someone telling you. That is, some many people don't like it, but that makes things easier. But
Exactly.
yeah, it's a tough path, but I think you are going on it gracefully. Anyways,
Thank you so much.
you've done a lot of live gigs, live shows. Tell us about some projects that you are working on aside from these gigs.
Okay, so it was, I think, after a couple of gigs, or like maybe 4 or 5 gigs I did in Pune, I started realizing as to what I really want to do in terms of music. Because you have to keep asking yourself as to what's your
Hmm.
next goal. Since
Right.
there is not a great amount of
Hmm.
structure in place, you have to put certain small goals in front of you, and then you have to have a bigger picture in your head as to where you'd want to be in, like, a couple of years or maybe 3 years down the line. But you
Hmm.
also have to put down certain smaller goals which can be achieved in, like, a couple of months and stuff like that. So when I started doing gigs, after a few gigs, I realized that I wouldn't want to play the same songs over and over again, the same,
Hmm.
like, covering some other artist.
Right.
And I knew this for a fact that I can compose, and I knew this. I had this belief in me that I can write,
Okay.
although I had not written a single song up till then, till that point.
Yeah.
but I just had that belief, and I was like, there's no other way for me. I have to do it. I have to learn
Hmm.
doing that. Like, it's by hook or by crook, you have to learn this. I just
Right.
put myself in that state of mind. So I started writing. I wrote some pretty shit pieces, and
Okay.
most of which were written during my internship hours. So
Oh.
that is what I used to do. What I used to do in office. So
Okay.
a lot of those pieces were basically thrown into the garbage bin in my that cabin wherein I was, that's cubicle I was working at so
Yeah.
that kind of started a process of, like, putting my own thoughts into words and
Hmm.
giving them a melody and giving them a shape, and it's basically you expressing yourself. So that kind of gave me some satisfaction, and that is what I'm working towards even now. It's been 3 years since I started writing, and that is what it's been all about. So I write basically for two projects currently.
Mm-hmm.
One being my solo project, which is anything but white vinyl, and
Okay.
white vinyl being the other project, which is experimental, which is rock, which is again another form of expression for me and the three of my other friends who are there in the band. So
Okay.
there's there's no hard and fast rule as to what comes under my own solo project and what comes under the band. It's more about what everyone feels comfortable with. Like, at times when I'm writing about something, I think, okay, cool, this can go under the Vyom Joshi label, or like something which will be like
Mm-hmm.
a solo, which can, for which maybe I don't really need the dynamics for which I need for certain songs with the band. The first song which I wrote was Nights, and I knew it from the start when I'd written it, when I got the tune for it, or when I wrote the lyrics, when I wrote the chorus. I knew it from day one that this is gonna be a band song, and
Okay.
these guys have really done a great job. And we were supposed to record Nights. It was supposed to be recorded by this time, but due to the lockdown in Maharashtra and my bassist basically getting COVID as well. So
Oh,
he's fine now, but that has kind of slowed the process of recording this song. But hopefully that song will see the light of the day before the end of next month. And
wow.
so yeah, that is Nights was the first song which I wrote, and it kind of gave me a feel that it would be best suited for the band. So the arrangement and all which we worked out works well with the band. Then there are certain songs which I feel are better off if I do it on a, like, the arrangement is more restricted to a solo kind of a setup.
Hmm.
So like a songwriter kind of, the singer songwriter setup as you call it.
Yeah.
So I've written a few songs which go on that front as well. So these are the two projects I'm working on. Other than this, I have I have friends who are producers in Bombay, so I am working with them as well, and that is what occupies my day, to be
Good to
honest.
know, Vyom. Good to know. But you said that you've been working on your own songs also, some of your band songs. Can you sing us a few lines of your own song? Any song?
Sure thing, sure thing, sure thing, sure thing. Okay, so I have this thing because you always
Okay,
have to have one, right?
for
I
sure.
can't really go without having a guitar by my side. And this song again, it's called "Follow Me," and it basically talks about. It was written for a friend, and it basically talks about being there for your close ones and being
Okay,
there for your loved ones whenever they need you. And
beautiful.
mental health is something which is not very well understood by a lot of people, and it is
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty hard to understand what someone else is going through.
Yeah,
Our brains are pretty complex structures in that way, and but what we can do is show some love and show empathy towards people, and just let them know that you're there for them when they need you. So this song basically talks about those, like, letting that person know when I was failing to do that and like failing to communicate the same in your normal day-to-day language. So this song basically brings out that emotion, and here's how it goes. Sometimes you feel alone, sometimes you can't say. I know times that you're scared, you want me to stay. So let me hold you right. I'll make you feel special. So let me hold you tight, so you can follow me. Follow me. When you lost all your faith and hope can be found, I'll pick up your pieces and I'll turn your world around. So let me hold you right. I'll make you whole again. So let me be your light, so you can follow me. Follow me. Wherever you go, I'll be right behind you. When you can't go on, I'll carry you. 'Cause I'll be there for you always. I'll fight your battles and I'll wash all your wounds. I'll kiss you goodnight, sing a lullaby to you. So let me hold you right. I'll make you home again. So let me love you tonight, so you can follow me. Follow me. So follow me. So follow me. So follow me.
Wow. You know, I have already heard this song. I'm a fan of this song. I'm waiting for the day it will be released. But I personally love this song. Love it.
Thank you.
Amazing,
Thank you so
Vyom.
much.
Thank you for sharing that song with us. Uh,
My
wow.
pleasure, buddy. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. So, Vyom, obviously you are gifted with a voice. I agree to that. But this is not all gift or talent. This is hard work, what you've done right now.
It sure is.
So I wanted to ask, what does your typical day look like? I mean, how does a professional musician train? What is his regime? If you can shed some light on that.
Uh, sure. So I think a major part of any musician's day should, I can't say, and I wouldn't say it always is the case, but it should involve some sort of riyaz or practice or warm ups or whatever
Okay.
you're doing, basically preparing yourself and working yourself. So the most part of the day goes working on yourself, because we over here, everyone makes some sort of investment. You
Mm-hmm.
always make an investment, right? So for us as artists, the main investment which you have to make is on yourself. You spend
Yeah.
money to learn stuff. You spend money to learn your instruments, to buy instruments. So basically, there's a lot of investment, be it financial, be it emotional, be it
Time.
in terms of the time. There's
Mm.
a lot of investment which you have to make on yourself, and everyone
Yeah.
has the same amount of time, right? Everyone has the
Yes.
same 24 hours. So my day, how I start is I usually wake up around 8:39 is the time I get up from the bed. I wake up by 8:15. I laze around for another half an hour because that gives you that sense of satisfaction,
Yeah,
because there's
obviously.
no one to tell you when to get up, right? When to go to
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
So so
Anyways, after work
I'm
from home, even we don't have to go to office. So we are
exactly. So
same
that's
on that.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you.
But anyways, please continue. Please continue.
Yeah. So as I said, I try to get off the bed by 9 and freshen up. First thing I do is my vocal warm up. So I don't feel good till my voice feels good to me.
Oh,
And
okay.
usually when you wake up, you have this kind of a soreness, and
Hmm.
so that is the first thing which I work on. So like the next 35 to 40 minutes is uh, that that part of the day goes entirely for my vocal warm-ups, and
Okay.
every day is trying to learn how my body is feeling, how my voice feels, how my throat is feeling, and to basically get that sort of mind and body connection, which is very important in singing, which I realized uh,
Hmm.
at a pretty late stage, I'd say. Like I was working on that part of my singing since my college days, but it took me a good 3 to 4 years to understand the right technique to sing. So it's basically exercising, like how you, before you go to the gym, you just don't start off with the heaviest weight possible. Okay, you go there, you stretch your muscles out. So it's basically that. When I'm
Right.
warming up, I'm just trying to understand how my body feels, how my voice feels, and like slowly stretching it, slowly pushing it into the zones wherein it gets challenging to sing. So I'm prepared for the day. So my first hour of the day goes with my vocal warm-ups, then I make some sort of breakfast for myself, and the rest of the day again goes with practicing the guitars, because there is always so much that you can look forward to, and there's so
Hmm.
much to learn. And staying with musicians is another, like
Yeah.
it's a boon in such situations, because
Hmm.
uh, I'm staying with members from Daira, which is another independent rock band, and
Okay.
even these guys are from Lucknow. So I've looked up to them at a certain stage of my life, and
Hmm.
it's such a big thing for me to share the same house now, and to see how they go about their business, how they are
Yeah.
working on different instruments and improving themselves. So it's always a good factor which helps you to push yourself to learn more. Like
Yeah.
these the two guys, the two flatmates I have, they in the last couple of years they learned the trumpet, and now they're pretty good at it. So it's kind of I'm
Hmm.
kind of getting inspired to learn another instrument, to pick up another instrument. And staying with musicians, you always have instruments at hand. So
Yeah. Right.
that you sometimes you're able to skip those certain few walls or certain few obstacles which you
Yeah.
get when you think of learning
Hmm.
something or pushing yourself. So that it the process, it does get easier. And so yeah, after I'm done with my breakfast and stuff, again it's all about learning, and it's all about improving yourself. And usually during the evening I work out and stuff, and once I'm done with that, the next thing is trying to write something, because you have to practice that also. If you're not practicing writing,
Hmm.
if you're not practicing
Yes.
composing your own tunes, you are not going to improve. It's not like I'm able to write a song every day, and I'm not that great with writing, so it's a slower process for me. But then you do what you can, and
Yeah.
yeah, just make sure you're better than what you were yesterday. So
Perfect.
that is something which you have to work on. And yeah, that pretty much sums up the day, a regular day.
Yeah.
And it basically, to sum it up, it revolves around, for me it revolves around music, staying with other musicians, that it helps even more to be involved in music throughout the day. Because uh, if you're not playing something, you are learning something by listening to
Exactly.
others. And we get to share a lot of music as well to each other.
Hmm.
So they've helped me discover new artists. Like Ibrahim Malouf is the new artist I'm listening to a lot these days, who's a trumpet player from France. And then
Okay.
bassists like Richard Bona, singer-songwriters like Richard Bona, who are incredible musicians, and I had no clue about them initially. So I've started listening to a lot of different kind of music as to what I used to listen to. So it's a great learning process. And yeah, if, like, to me, this is the most satisfying thing that I could have done. So
Get it.
it's fun. the the entire day is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's looks fun. Two very important points that you raised. The first one was the mind and body connection. I think it's very important for any artist to. I think that's what we call the flow also. Maybe when everything is just
Exactly,
connect. Yeah,
exactly.
and also living with musicians. Do you live with members of your band? Do they live with you also?
Yes. So I shifted to Bombay in the around the first week of Jan, and
Hmm.
my guitarist Chetri, he was in Dehradun during the lockdown. Even he has shifted, so we are sharing the room right now. And the other two people, they are from a band called Daira,
Okay.
and even they're musicians. And so yeah, it's the four of us, and everyone doing the same thing, everyone helping each other out, and especially the two of us, because uh, these guys from Daira, they've been doing it for 6 years. Daira has been active for 6 years in India now, and so they are our seniors in this field. So me and Chetri and I both get to learn a lot. And again, I picked up the classical guitar because it was
Hmm.
so readily available to me, and these guys are so helpful that the process
Yeah.
becomes easier. So whenever I have a doubt, I can just go to the living room. Right now they're sitting outside, so I can always just go there.
So are
And
they have
it's
they
pretty
started
chill, man.
before you?
Again,
Are they older than you in this
yes,
area?
yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. So these guys, they're from Lucknow, both of them. So I'd heard of them, and they they've been into music. Like, unlike me, their process, their journey has been very different.
Okay.
And the vocalist for Daira, Piyush, was in Thaikuram Bridge. And so once he left Thaikuram Bridge, he and a couple of his friends, they started the band Daira,
Okay.
which is it's an Indian independent experimental alternate rock kind of sound they have. And they're pretty damn good, man. Like, they have 3 albums out. They are actually working on a couple of more song releases. So
Okay.
you know, having
Nice.
getting to see people do the same things you aspire to do.
Yeah, that's
It's like
inspirational.
learning firsthand. It's like learning firsthand everything, and it is inspirational to say the least as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great environment to be in. And, like, when I got when I got to know, like, I got to know through a common friend of, like, I didn't know these guys personally as such, so, but we had common friends from Lucknow. So uh, Sagar Bhai actually initially told me that these guys are looking for a flatmate, and I was looking to move to Bombay. So immediately I got their number. I called them, and I told them, hey, it will be a great opportunity for me to, like, just be around you guys and learn from you, because I've looked up to them throughout college. I've been listening to their songs, and yeah, it's great. It's great. They're
It's
great
great.
people, always helpful. So it's fun.
It's really fun. I think, yeah, as you said, having musicians around, their instruments around it, it removes the initial blockage of learning things. Also helps you. Uh, Great. Before we move to the next question, I love your voice so much. Can you sing for us something? Anything that you'd like?
Sure thing, sure thing, sure thing, sure thing. So, this is what I do and this is what I love. So you don't even have to ask me twice. That's the best part. I'll not sing the. I don't know if I should be singing the entire song again because might get boring for some people. But this
Sounds
one's called
boring.
Nights, and Nights was the first song I wrote, and I think this one shares a common story with a lot of first songs for everyone,
Okay.
and the initial heartbreaks,
Oh God.
which force you to get
Is
into
it about
something.
that? I have to embrace myself then. Let's start.
So it is, but I hope it's not as it's so yeah, but not your regular run of the mill heartbreak song. And
Great.
so this one will eventually it'll be a white vinyl song,
Okay.
and hope you like the band arrangement as well. I'll
Mm,
actually put up the I'll share the link for this also, so
yeah.
people can listen to the live version which
Do
we
you
did at
have it?
Hard Rock
So
Cafe.
have you released
Back
something?
Yes,
Oh,
we've not
nice.
released. We've put it up on SoundCloud. It's like a live demo. It's like a
Okay.
live demo, which we use it for our creative purposes and stuff, for our social media work and stuff. So this is not an official release as such, but it's like a demo from our hard rock gig at Pune. This is how it goes. As the night passes by, and I start wondering, and I start thinking about us. I start thinking about you and I. Was it always bad? Or were we always strong? Did we try enough away? We just played along. We just played along. We kept walking on. All our thoughts were real. Trying to make it through the coast of our past, haunting us forever. Our powerless. Was it always bad? Or were we always wrong? Did we try enough away? Or we just played along? Or we just played along?
Wow. Love the lyrics.
Thank
Also,
you.
this
Thank you
song
so
is
much.
gonna come out from White Vinyl, right? So a band
Yes,
version,
and
more instruments.
this will supposedly the first release from the band's side. So
Can we know any
fingers
tentative
crossed.
date?
With the current scenario, I'd not want to give out any sort of tentative dates. The
Sure.
initial plan was to release this song as soon as possible, like maybe by the end of the first week or the second week in May
Hmm.
itself. But because of these lockdowns, it's just
Yeah,
hard to put a date on it.
hard to predict.
And exactly, and we don't want to put anyone at risk with the current scenario in Maharashtra with the
Hmm.
increasing COVID cases. You don't want to go out and a couple of guys are staying with their families and they're staying with their parents, so it's pretty risky to venture out and go to the studio and do all these things. So for the sake of everyone's peace of mind, also we've kind of put the date on hold, the release and stuff, because because of this. But I'm sure we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it as soon as possible. And yep, I have high hopes with this song as well.
Looking forward to this song, especially because it's a band version.
Exactly, exactly. This was a very stripped down version, like a very
Hmm.
small two
Very
minutes.
acoustic
And
version, very soft
exactly.
version. I know the
Yes.
real song
And
would be like very different. The whole feel to it.
yes. That one's gonna be pretty loud.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. So Vyom, you are an independent artist, right? For all the people, independent artist, tell me if I'm wrong. Independent artist is someone who is yet not under any contract from any music label. Can we say?
Exactly, and
Okay.
exactly. And we have see what happens with a lot of labels comes a lot of restrictions as well.
Yes.
And the freedom to write what you want to write, the freedom to say what you want to say, it is kind of curbed at times. And I don't really want to do that at this stage
Mm-hmm.
of my life. And so it's good staying independent. The wor- the only downside to it is not having an entire team put pushing your
Yes.
name out on the radios,
Hmm.
on a TV channels and stuff. But at the end of the day, someone's got to do it. And if you are hoping for someone else to do it, why can't you do it yourself? Why can't you go and talk to channels? Why can't you go to talk to radio people and, like, get your work out? So I feel staying independent is a good choice for now for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just feels right to stay an indie artist for the time being. And
Great.
who knows what happens in the
Yeah.
future. Sometimes you get labels who are willing to let you have more control of what you want to release and what
Hmm.
you want to put out. And if that happens, that's a great initiative. But in India, since the structure for music is not that great, and you don't have a lot of labels who are actually doing this, uh, the process gets a bit slower. Although in the last few years, there's been a good wave of independent artists coming up, a good wave of awareness about this. So
Hmm.
labels have come up, and there are a certain few labels who are pushing artists and promoting artists. So I think we are heading in the right direction there.
Good. Great. Uh, I had a question around this. I wanted to know, how does a indie artist earn money in India currently?
Okay, so as I said, there's not a lot of structure in place, and especially in times like these, when you have a lot of countries
Hmm.
where government basically provides them some sort of remunerations, or, like, some sort of compensations in times like these. There is no structure in place for musicians in our country, and
Okay.
this is considered a non-essential service or whatever, and we have to bear the brunt for
Yep.
whenever the lockdowns are happening. So, and for someone like me, my main source of income is gigs. So I play a
Hmm.
lot of venues, I do a lot of solo shows, I do a lot of duo, trio, commercial shows and stuff. So that kind of helps me pay my bills. And something else that you can do is work in a studio as a session musician, or, like, just work as a session musician for anyone. Like, if I can play the guitars, I can work with another singer songwriter who
Yeah.
might not be as comfortable as I am while playing the guitar, and I can just, like,
Hmm.
play the guitar parts for him. And Chetri has been working with a few Bollywood producers in the last
Oh,
couple of months, and he's
nice.
been tracking guitars for a certain few songs or a certain few producers. So that is one way of, like, rendering us your service and getting paid for it. So, like, if you go, you play for a couple of hours in the studio, they give you their song, and you have certain freedom as to what all you can do with that song. There are certain limitations and restrictions as to how they want the sound of the instrument to be. So you go to the studio, you work as a session musician basically. So that's one way of earning. Then another is working with, as I told you, with the booming OTT platforms in India.
Hmm.
There's a lot of work opportunity with a lot of music arrangers and producers, and or as an independent artist, you can always pitch your song to them. So
Yeah.
if that happens, that's a great way to, like, put your name out, get your name out on a platform which basically is broadcasted to billions right now, and your name gets out to everyone across the globe,
Yeah.
to put things in perspective. So yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that tough as well.
But still,
And
I think India might have to improve in the terms of how they respect or how they
yes,
musicians,
and
how they treat musicians,
that
basically.
comes from a point of uh, less awareness about stuff.
Mm,
Like
that's true.
I can tell you till date in Lucknow, if a kid goes up to his parents and tells them that I want to pursue music, I'm sure it's gonna make some eyes roll. So
For sure.
that is what, and it's pursuing something like this is a tough decision for anyone to take because there is a lot of uncertainty, and you can always understand that parents also are worried about their kids and they want some sort of stability for them because
Safe
that is how they
and
were,
stable.
because that, yeah, they want that safety net, and that is how they were born and brought up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our parents, they were born and brought up in a very different
Yes.
timeline with very very different scenarios, and
And
some
main difference, I think, was we had internet. They didn't have internet
exactly,
also.
exactly.
Yeah.
And for someone like us, even our generation, like someone like me, I'm still getting, I won't say I'm not used to the internet, or I have a tough time handling the internet, but the way I've seen the generation which has come
Hmm.
after me, they are way more comfortable with it.
That's right.
And although it's I'd never imagined I could say it, but they are better at using social media than me
Of
sometimes.
Obviously,
And
because I think we have seen both the phases. One where there was no
exactly.
internet, and we have shifted ourselves, adapted to this. They were born in this,
Yes,
molded by it.
yes. So there is a huge change, like the generational change which used to happen in 30, 40 years. I think it's
Hmm.
happening in 10 years now.
Yes, yes, yes. You're
And
right.
so I'm I I'm still trying to get, like, sometimes I feel that I should not be spending that much time on social media because I'm not able to focus on my
Hmm.
art. And there's this constant struggle also in terms of how you market yourself on social media. Although that's a
Yeah.
different point altogether, but when you talk about this, you realize how our parents would feel about it
Hmm. Hmm,
when
hmm, hmm.
someone, like, right now content creators are earning pretty well. They're doing
Yes,
like
actually, yeah.
it's a good thing. It's a good career option now.
Hmm. Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Content creators and wearing different clothes and putting on different clothes
Hmm.
was like our parents can't. I don't think they can wrap their heads around the fact that
Yeah.
it's someone's
It's a
career.
legit profession now. It's a
It's a
legit
legit
profession.
profession now.
Yeah.
It's a legit profession. We still have a hard time
Hmm.
accepting it as to, like, okay, that works. It does
Hmm.
work. And so, like, with those things, our parents, it's slightly slow, that process,
Yeah.
in terms of, like, being aware about stuff. But then I think if there's someone like me
Hmm.
who's from Lucknow, where there is not a lot of awareness about this, uh, I get messages from people who tell me that when they see me, they are able to, like, convince their parents, and, like, to some extent they are able to convince themselves.
Hmm.
Like, you'll not fall short of examples of, for people
Yeah.
who are doing the same stuff in Delhi and Bombay, because they were always way more exposed to what things were happening. For someone like me, whenever my parents used to ask me, who do you know is in music and who's doing well, I used to fall short of, like, examples at that point of time. So you can always do some good, and, like, it's better not to worry about things which are not in your favor. I'd rather say you have to work on those things which are in your favor, and,
Hmm.
like, help the society in whichever way possible. Like, I sometimes now I've, like, in the last couple of years, I've gotten messages from people which tell me that, Ari, it's great to see what you're doing, and, like, it kind of helps us to see a pathway of for doing certain things like that.
Wow.
So if I'm doing this, like, in my society in Lucknow, the colony where I stay, those people, or, like, the elderlies over there, or my friends' parents, that generation, when they're there, when they get to know that, like, okay, there's this guy who was born and brought up in front of us. He went to bits, he did something, and then he switched career paths, and he's managing himself,
Mm.
and he's happy with what he's doing. So that kind of paves the pathway for maybe someone who's younger than me to, like, do the same thing and be more aware about stuff. So I I, I, sh- I can tell you it wasn't a very easy thing to imagine a career in music for me 10 years ago, because I didn't have a lot of examples. But what I'll try to do is I'll try to be that example for someone else now
Wow,
and
that's
make
really
it
great.
a better situation for someone else. Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure you would bless us with music that you will produce, you will make for us. But you know what? Like you said, some kids around your area, they got inspired, but by what you were doing, they were able to convince their own parents, maybe convince themselves first, okay, okay, this can be done.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's a bigger, help to the society. Great that you can inspire people, you can help people to achieve what they were meant to or something like that. So
Exactly.
congrats, Vyom. I think it must feel good hearing
It
these
does feel good. It
stories.
does feel good when you get messages from people, and
Hmm,
it makes your day, to say the least. And it's
for
moments
sure.
like these which uh, basically pull you out of your bad ways,
Yes,
which
yes.
helps you
Right.
remind that, like, it's a good reminder to you as to why you're doing this. And yeah, it's a pretty wholesome feeling at the end of the day whenever I don't want to I don't want to talk too highly of myself over here. It's not something like that. Ki I'm getting messages every day, but, like, even the 3-4 messages
Yeah,
I've
that's
received,
enough.
that's
Even
enough for
one
me.
is enough.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, this helps me. Doing something like this does create some awareness at some place wherein there wasn't a lot of awareness. I know, at least before me. So that that tiny bit of positive work also is some, like, it's still positive work. So
Yes, it is. Great.
I think I don't even remember the question right now, but I think we were talking about something wherein we were talking about as to how the
How does an
situation
indie
plays.
artist earn? But yeah, we talked about some
Exactly.
beautiful things between them.
Exactly. So yeah, and convincing your parents is a big deal. And when
Yes, it
I did
is.
something like this, when my parents realized that I was able to earn for myself, and
Hmm.
you have to find ways, man. You have to find ways. I knew I wasn't too good when I was getting into this 4 years, 3 years back when I started with this, but I knew I was good enough to perform, and I knew I'll get better
Hmm.
as and when I'll perform. You've heard me in college. You heard me in first year when I got rejected by the music club. You've heard me in my fourth year when I was way better than how I started
Hmm.
when I was in my first year. And then there was another journey of, like, entering into it as a professional. So
Yep.
I knew I had to work my way up. I knew I had to start earning along the way. I couldn't wait for the next 3 years to, like, get better.
Right.
I knew I could. I didn't move to Bombay 3 years back because I knew I wasn't ready for it. So I worked my way in those 3 years. I improved. I worked on myself. I worked on my skill set. I worked on the body mind connection I'm talking, like I told you about initially. So those things, while they were happening in the background in the last 3 years, I made sure I was earning in some way or the other to sustain myself. Otherwise, I would have. The initial plan was to basically work for a couple of years and then
Hmm.
quit my job. But then I realized that that would have made me complacent in a certain few ways because I would have
Yeah.
had that good cash flow.
Hmm.
In 2 years, you can actually
Yeah.
earn, like, your package starts to improve and stuff. So those things, they can become a hindrance, and it kind of makes you a bit lazy in terms of if you want
Yes.
to take a step like this wherein you'd want to quit your job and stuff. So it makes it all the more tougher. So I realized the
Also gives you a backup. Whenever you have a
it gives
backup,
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure I was doing something
Hmm.
and working on myself in that time frame along the like, as in when I was doing my shows, I was working on myself as well. And now I think I'm at a better place than where I was 3 years back. So that makes me feel good.
That is great. Um, are you spiritual?
Not really. I don't really think that much along those
What
lines, to be honest.
what do you think,
Uh,
according to you,
so
spirituality is?
so it's about, I think at the end of the day, it's all about being more aware.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what I try to do is, uh, I don't think I'm someone who's able to focus myself or channelize my energy into believing there exists a God. So what I started doing was,
I mean,
and I've
spirituality,
always
it's
had
not,
the,
it doesn't mean that, basically, it means
I know, I
that
know,
you
I know, I know.
believe in a higher force, like God or anything.
Exactly,
That's just a
exactly.
word.
I
Yeah.
know. But
Okay.
as kids, we start off with believing in God.
Hmm.
So वहाँ से I was trying to uh, tell you
Okay.
that the initial thing which your parents tell you is go to temples,
Hmm.
bow in front of a god, and believe in the presence of that higher being. So that was something which wasn't a very comforting thought to me. And as in when you grow in life, you have incidences, you have events which make or break your belief systems. So certain few things happened in my life, and I stopped believing in God at that point of time. Post that, it's always been, I do believe in energies. I do believe in having a positive energy, having a positive outlook towards stuff, and I do believe in not and avoiding the negative energies. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not a very spiritual
Hmm.
person as to who's too much into spirituality as such,
Okay.
but obviously you have that belief system and you have that belief of the energy being around you and the aura which you uh, how I would say the aura which you are giving out from yourself
Hmm. Yes.
and what you are portraying yourself to be. So that's what I say. I'll not say I'm a very spiritual person, but I do believe in trying to keep a positive outlook towards things. And that's all.
Got it.
That's about it, I think.
Got it. Got it. Got it. That's a beautiful answer, actually. Okay, we've talked about a lot of deep stuff. Uh, let me ask you something which can lighten our mood. I wanted to ask you, basically, we all are singers. I mean, every person on this planet sings at least one song each day, maybe in his bathroom, maybe doing something, but he does. Can you give everyone, every amateur singer who's not into professional singing, one tip that can improve him?
Wow. So, okay, so I started off being a super amateur singer,
Yes, you didn't
and
learn singing, I think. You did it.
exactly.
Yeah, you're the
So,
perfect guy for this answer.
and even before trying to learn how to sing, I had to unlearn a certain few
Hmm.
unhealthy habits when it comes to singing due to some sort of advices I got when I was a kid and not working on them initially and not realizing it. So I had to basically unlearn singing initially. But I'm learning these days also. As I told you, I do my warm ups. I still watch videos of vocal coaches as and to basically understand wherein I can go wrong and
Mm-hmm.
wherein it's like basically when you go to the gym, you make sure your form is right and you have a lot of mirrors in the gym to ensure that your form is right.
Hmm.
That is what the purpose is of those mirrors, that whenever you're pulling those, when
Hmm.
you're doing
Right.
those bicep curls, you make sure you're not putting a lot of pressure on the shoulders, you make sure you're not making certain movements which you shouldn't make.
Mm-hmm.
So that is paramount to you becoming a good singer or like doing it the right way. So the first tip I'd say is go on YouTube, browse through vocal coaches. I can always refer anyone, like whosoever is interested in them. I can give them names. I can send them links and stuff, and that is what I do these days. Also, if someone asks me as to what I've been doing to improve my singing, I send them links to those. So when you go through those videos of those vocal coaches, they tell you the right way of
Hmm.
not
Okay.
just hitting a note, but basically your body is a machine. You have to learn how to produce
Yep.
sounds.
Yep.
I can produce 10 different sounds from my voice, basically, as to what part of my body I'm channelizing to produce that
Hmm.
sound. I can go higher. I can sing in falsetto. I can do a mixed voice. I can do chest voice. I can do maybe a lot of screaming as well at times. But to do all of those things, you have to understand the basic concept of producing sounds and as to how they are getting produced.
Hmm. Right. You're right.
So the best thing you can do to yourself is not just randomly focus on singing, but to learn how to produce those sounds.
Got it.
When in college, I used to lose my voice 10 minutes into speaking to someone else.
Why is
I
that?
didn't even know. I didn't, because my way of speaking, I all my because of the wrong practices which I
Okay.
had in my
Something which you
childhood.
had to unlearn. You actually spoke about it.
Exactly,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So I used to involve a lot of my muscles over here, the throat muscles, to speak, to sing, and that drains them out. You
Okay.
have to make sure. Exactly. So you know what? Even in
I've heard this a
theaters,
lot, not to sing from your throat, but from
exactly.
your
So you
stomach.
have to. Exactly. So that is what I told. That is what I was trying to tell you. That when you go through those videos and you listen to a lot of vocal coaches, when you try to do some research into this stuff, you realize that you have to channelize and you have to use this abdominal part. And it sounds funny, but like you have to basically bear down. You have to make sure that you're. It's like it's. I'm not even kidding. You have to have that pooping kind of action
Okay.
going on,
Okay.
which helps you project
Hmm.
your voice. So it's not like when I'm trying to talk to you, I'm trying to bear down, or I'm not doing
Now, though,
that, because
it's
this is
normal to you
because
now.
exactly.
Hmm.
But to basically tell your body to activate those muscles, to activate this region, you have to force it. You have to push it first.
Okay.
Like sometimes even to do your bicep curls, what you do is you lean against the wall, you stand against the wall so that your hand is not going back. But
Hmm.
once you're into it, once you're doing it for a week, you know your hand is not going to go back because you've
Right.
trained it a certain
Yes.
way. I don't start my day with screaming. I don't
Hmm.
start my day with screaming. I start my day with my head resonance. I use my head resonance and then make my way down to my chest resonance.
Oh, okay.
So I start off with a lot of falsetto practices, with like practicing my falsetto. Then I go into my
Hmm.
head voice, and then I go into my chest voice. So that those are the different registers. So that is something which is paramount, I'd say, to singing. Because even if you're able to hit a certain few notes the right, like if you're hitting the right note, but if you're not hitting it the right way, you might not be able to sing the next note because you're maybe out of breath, because maybe
Yes.
you've tired yourself, because maybe you've strained yourself too much. So it's very important, while practicing your scales, while practicing your saregama padanisa or doing any sort of riyaz, it is very important to make sure you're doing it the right way as well. The sound which is coming out of your body, it is coming out the right way. So I'd say work on that first.
You're right. Actually, that's very good advice. Uh, how to create sounds, how to use our body.
Exactly. What initially I was trying to do, a lot of young singers, what they try to do is try and increase their range, try and go higher, try and scream, try to reach the next high note.
Hmm.
That is not really important. If you don't have the right technique, maybe you can sing the first five notes comfortably.
Yeah.
You have to know the right techniques to reach the next 10 notes in that. And range and all comes naturally. It will come naturally. If you know the right ways, you don't really have to worry about your range. I'm a baritone and I can sing songs of singers who are tenors. So I'll do it a different way.
What is a
Maybe I'll
baritone
do.
or a tenor? Can
Okay,
you
so
explain to us?
basically, uh, in a very layman's way, baritones are people who sing on in lower registers. They have a
Okay.
more bassy voice. Then you have your tenors who have a slightly shriller voice, who have more treble in their voice, and they
Hmm.
are comfortable in singing higher notes. But it's not something to put a restriction on yourself. My natural scale or my natural sa might be different from a person who's doing it and who's a tenor, but I can still sing in his range, maybe in a different way, because I know how to work my way around and how to produce different sounds.
Right.
So range is not something which someone should be worried about,
Okay.
and it's more important as to how, as to understanding your body. And there are a lot of good YouTubers. Chris Lipe and Eric Arsenault are two people who I have been religiously following for the last few years, and
Okay.
whose advices and their videos, it's free of course, man. That's the best part. YouTube, you have so many videos, you can learn
Yes.
a lot of stuff from there, and that is what I've been doing. So yeah, getting to sing the right way is more important than
Hmm.
hitting the notes correctly in the first, like, as the first thing to do.
Okay.
You can always be slightly pitchy, you can always be slightly flat when you're singing, when you're trying to sing. That can happen, that can be worked upon separately. But if you don't know how to put out a note, if you're not able to uh, do it with the right technique, then that is not something which is going to help you in the longer run. So
You're
get your
right.
technique correct first, and then worry about your range and yeah, your as to how well you are singing. Those things can be worked upon.
I can totally relate to this. Matlab, going for the technique first. I was learning guitar, and because I wanted to play those songs which have a very fast strumming, I went into that very fast without learning the proper technique. I was able to play that song, but then another song came, which had a
Exactly.
tremendously fast strumming, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't
Exactly.
do it, and I had to unlearn, like you said, totally unlearn the way I do this, go to the basics, then come back to this. So yeah, you're right. Getting the technique right, I think
You
it's
do it
more.
slow. You
Do it
do
slow,
things slowly, and then
slow but solid.
yeah, that's what she said. So uh,
Reminds
good
me
cut,
of
Anand.
Michael Scott.
So
Yeah,
exactly, that's what the whole thing is. Do things slowly, do it the right way, and then pace it up. Use a metronome. At like for
yeah.
like, I wanted to learn a guitar solo, so that solo was supposed to be played at 155 BPM. But
Ooh,
I started off at 45 BPM. Since I'm not a
oh,
great guitar player, I'm not very
yeah.
used to that. So that is how I went about it.
Hmm.
I
Right.
went note by note, making sure I'm doing everything on the proper beat, and that was 45 BPM. So I
Hmm.
paced my way up. I went from 45. The next day I was working on 50. That day I worked on 50. The next day I worked on 55. Then I went on 60. So it took me a couple of weeks, but then I reached 155 BPM as well on that thing, because I got the technique right. I was doing it
Hmm.
slowly. I ensured that I was doing it the right way, and that goes on with pretty much everything, man. You don't
Everything,
go on, you
everything.
don't you
Yeah.
don't do your bicep curls with 10 kg right away. You start with
I see
50,
bicep
55, and then
curl
so on.
is your favorite exercise for sure.
It's because I only have one dumbbell at home.
Right, right.
So that's all
Okay.
I can do.
But anyways, thanks for the tip because that's actually a very great tip, and
You're welcome.
I'm sure we'll try to apply it. Uh, Vyom, that brings
Do bicep
us.
curls the right way.
That's right. I need to get one dumbbell for myself also. But Vyom, that brings us to the end of this conversation. And what a conversation we have had. Thanks for sharing great tips about music, great insights about your life, and some beautiful inspirational stories. Any last life lesson you want? Any one lesson that you've learned till now? One lesson that you would like to share with us?
Don't worry, be happy.
That's a great lesson.
As Bobby
Anyways,
McFerrin said it.
so how did you like this conversation, Vyo?
I loved it, man. It's always it helps to get an insight into your own self when you're talking
Hmm.
about such things, and makes you feel good at times because you tend to be a bit hard on yourself on a
Right.
regular basis as to what you're doing and as to what you're not doing. But it's moments like these, it's conversations like these which remind you where you started and where you were a few
Hmm.
years back. And if you're working on yourself, it will eventually make you feel good about it. Because if you're working on something, it's impossible to keep failing, man. No, nothing
Yeah, you're
nothing
right.
has a nothing has a probability of one. We've learned that.
Hmm. Hmm.
There is always a finite probability of anything happening. So if there is like even that 0.01 probability of it happening, it is a possibility. And
Hmm.
you have to put in all your heart and soul into making sure that
That
you
happens.
focus on you focus that that particular thing happens. And if you're continuously at it, I really don't think you're gonna keep failing forever.
You'll reach
And if
somewhere for sure.
exactly
Maybe your
exactly
goals would
because
change, maybe things would change, but I think, as you said, the most important thing is to be better than yesterday. Keep improving
exactly.
every day. So, yeah, thank you so much for that lesson. And before shutting this down, can you bless our ears with one more melody of yours? Anything you want to sing?
I think I've done a couple of originals. I'd like to sing something uh, as a mark of respect to one of the artists I've been listening to quite a lot recently. And
Okay. Who is this
this one's
artist?
by
Can we
the
know?
this
Okay.
this this is a Police song, and
Okay.
whose chief singer songwriter was Sting. And
Oh, okay.
so doing a very stripped down version again of this beautiful
Hmm.
song as it goes. Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. Every single day, every word you say, every night you stay, every game you play, I'll be watching you. Oh, can't you see? You belong to me. I'm full heartaches with every step you take, every move you make, every wire you break, every smile you fake, every claim you stake. I'll be watching you.
Wow, that's a beautiful song. Please send me the original. I haven't heard of it.
Sure thing, sure thing. I'll do that. I'll
Sure,
do that.
sure. Okay, okay, Vyom, thank you so much. This brings the end. Um, Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you
And
soon.
thank you so
Yeah,
much for inviting me for this conversation.
my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Have a great day, buddy.
Okay, bye bye, Vyom. See you soon.